All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the 306 Fantasy Football Podcast. We got a fun episode here. We took an extra week off with the holidays. It was the Easter break here this past week, and between all of our schedules floating around and getting some time with family and everything else, it was, you know what? Let's take the extra week. Let's take a break ourselves here too, and we'll get back into the pod the week following. So we're here recording Wednesday, April 10th for episode 120, and this is a fun one. This is one we talked about. I think it would have been earlier in the fantasy season. We threw around a couple ideas of what we might do in the off season, and this is one that got floated around. We're like, yeah, actually, this might be fun, and here we are, we're doing it. So we're 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. So the next episode, we're gonna start getting into some of the rookie prospects, especially not necessarily as them as just NFL players, but as them as fantasy players. So we'll get into that in our next episode 2 weeks time from now. But this week, we're having a little bit of fun, and we're gonna do our own little draft. Three team snake draft, 5 rounds, and we're drafting the best NFL uniforms or the best NFL jerseys of all time. And I think there's gonna be some controversy. I think there's gonna be some some ones that maybe are some dark horse picks, maybe some homer picks. But I'm excited for this one. I think there's like we could have done 10 picks each. Like the amount of creativity or just like good uniforms period that are out there are I think endless. But regardless, we'll get a quick question of the week, get into the insiders and headlines. We have two things to talk about, and then have our draft and finish off with a nice cold hot take. So before we get into it here, after a nice little break and some downtime here, we'll say hello to the fellas, and then we'll get after it. So Zach, how's your little break there, and now it's been keeping you busy?
Easter was fantastic. Great little week away from school, chance to recharge and get back ready for the last little bit of the school year.
Farming same as you kind of thing, or what?
Yeah, well, man, that week felt longer than a week for me, that's for sure. Having the Friday off beforehand definitely made it seem longer, and we spent half of it in Saskatoon going to the Dragons car show with Griff and my dad, and Griffin got to sit in one of the cars, and the joy on his face when he sat in that car was incredible.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, and then the rest of it back in PA at home trying to get some stuff done.
Nice. Yeah, we didn't do a whole lot. Caught up on some house stuff that's been putting off. Just doing some a little bit of relaxing and puttering and whatnot. So we got Wells's first birthday coming up here in a week and a half. So lots of planning for that and getting things ready. Lex she made a homemade cake. She did it all herself and the icing and the made it. It's a football themed birthday party. So right up my alley. So I'm pretty happy about that. And she made a little birthday player cake, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. So definitely looking forward to that. But we'll get into the episode here. Kind of just a little fun episode here. Not a ton of fantasy analytics going on here, but definitely a lot of fun conversations nonetheless. So we'll get into a quick question of the week. And the quick question is, during your very first ever championship, and fortunately we've all at least had one championship, so we could talk about this one. Who were the studs that carried you through that title? And maybe we'll start with Zach here because Zach's been playing fantasy for substantially more years than we have. When I realized when his first championship came, and then I looked at some of those names, I was like, holy man, we're going some throwbacks here. So we'll start this one with Zach.
Yeah, I think I actually might have won a league before this one in high school, but I probably for the best got forgot that email account and I couldn't get into the old Yahoo account.
Yeah.
So
Zach's
this was
Zach is too strong _93 I'm awesome at hotmail.com.
yeah, there might have been some other like 69s and 420s in there, but pretty close to that. So this was back on the NFL fantasy app, and this was in 2012. From what I would assume is I probably would have went Ray Rice in round one, and then I had Alfred Morris and Doug Martin as two
Doug
other
the
running
stud.
backs.
Yeah. Doug Martin.
And
Yeah, yeah.
so Ray Rice would have been younger, maybe second or third year in the league. And in preparation here, I looked up Alfred Morris and Doug Martin were both rookies that year. And I think Alfred Morris kind of came out of nowhere, so I probably pulled him off of the waiver wire. And for those three players in standard settings, Ray Rice had 207 points, Alfred Morris had 233, and Doug Martin had 249. So all three of those finished as I think when I looked it up on Fantasy Pros as top 11 running backs. So three of the top 11 uh,
Standard league.
in a
Big time.
standard, probably like a 10-team league. That's pretty good. So they, what I would assume would have been my studs that year.
I would like to find out one day, just go back and do a little bit of research. Not necessarily when it actually started, but when it's, or not when it started picking up speed, sorry, but when it actually would have started, like the half point versus and full point PPR. Because the standard was standard like forever. Even when I first started fantasy, it was standard. There was no half
Mhm.
point, there was no full point, and I think that would have been, trying to remember back to when I started, 2015, maybe 2014, I think was my first year. So that's like you're going back quite a while, and not to say that it hadn't started there, but it hadn't picked up speed at least. But for sure, look at 2012. That was standard leagues. That was borderline. Go find the stats in the newspaper and write down your points in there. Going back in the fantasy days, but Armin and I, we had our very first, once again, similar, like mine, similar as Zach's. I maybe had one back when I was in university, but not, I wasn't into fantasy enough to even think like, oh yeah, hey, I won, awesome, cool, like this is super great. Like it was just like 6-man league with some buddies. But mine was 2019, and so was Armin's. But I'll let you go first, Armin, because just as much of your championship, I'm part of this story as well. So we'll let you go first.
Yeah. I think I cheated on this one. The other one that potentially might have been before this one might have been in 2018. I can't remember because that league actually switched platforms, so I can't go back in the league history and find out what year it actually was. So I went with the one where I could, and I could get us as most information as possible. Plus, this one was a pretty memorable one for me because it was my first year at St. Mary, and I ended up winning the staff league in 2019. So that was a pretty awesome way to start my tenure at St. Mary there. And yeah, Jordan, you're a part of this. You're in the league. I think I drafted Devonte Adams in the first round of that league, and for some reason, the football gods were telling me to trade him away.
That was when he
And
got hurt.
yeah, and I did. I traded him to Jordan for DJ Moore and Devontae Freedman because I needed more RB help. And DJ Moore was starting to break out. And then I think it was like the week after I traded him to you, hey?
Yeah,
I
well,
was like hemming and hawing about this trade for like a week and a half.
he got hurt
Finally, like,
before too. So, and then he got healthy from the previous injury. So I was trying to
yeah.
buy him coming off the injury, and then he got re-injured, and it was like downhill from there for the rest. I think he ended up getting put on the IR. Like it was a train wreck.
Yeah, I don't think you didn't get him till the playoffs, I think, and you were already out at that point. You
Yeah,
didn't make playoffs, yeah.
yeah. I
So
ended up a tie, and then based on the point differential, I ended up finishing ninth and not eighth. But I needed
yeah.
him for one extra week, for one extra win is basically all I needed.
Yeah. So I made it there. My studs in that season were DJ Moore, Tyler Lockett, Aaron Jones, and this was his breakout season at the 19 touchdowns, and then Russell Wilson in one of his last few good fantasy seasons. Moore put up 230 PPR points, Lockett 235, Aaron Jones 314, and then Russ put up 333. But in the final, Aaron Jones was my stud, putting up 28 points, and Devontae Freeman somehow put up 33.7 points in the final for me. And this was I think this was his last season in the NFL. Correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
I think you're right. I can quickly look that up while you're talking, but I think I might be right.
Yeah, or at least his last relevant season. Like he was not very good all season long, barely getting anything. And then in the final did that. But those guys made up for more. DJ putting up only 1.1 points, and Russ putting up 12.6 as a QB weren't very good, but I survived it with Jones and Freeman in the final there.
Yeah, that was his last year in Atlanta, 2019, and then he was with the Giants in 2020, where he played 5 games, and then he played 16 games with Baltimore. But like, it wasn't 16 games with Baltimore. It was, very much like getting touches when guys were hurt or whatever. But so yeah, that was very much his last go at it. My championship was in 2019 as well too, but it was a dynasty one. Like I said, I think maybe might have won one in like 14 or 15 in the 6-man leagues where it wasn't all that big of a deal, but this one was a big deal. This one I co-managed with a friend of mine, and we had been hit like the first year we finished fourth, second year we finished third, then the third year we finished fourth, and then the fourth season we finally won. I think is how it ended up working, but it was like a third, fourth, and third, fourth, third, or something like that. So we've been flirting with it, but finally got in the championship, and we won it. And it's our big money league, so it's a substantial commitment. I think it's 350 American per year goes in there for our team. Excuse me. And we started off with our draft, and then we drafted a pretty good team, and some of the big risks hit, and some of our rookie picks hit. We ended up getting Lamar Jackson with I think the 112 or the 111 or something like that. So obviously that panned out, and that was the year Lamar Jackson. And our fantasy points for quarterbacks are a little bit juiced, but the running backs aren't. Like it's a half point PPR for a running back. Lamar Jackson got 490.58 fantasy points that year, and Christian McCaffrey got 460.2 fantasy points. So very much two heavy studs that carried our team. But we also had Travis Kelce that year, who was the tight end number 1 by a landslide. We had Michael Thomas, who was quick slanting his way to PPR madness. So who I think he finished as the wide receiver 5, I think that season, if I remember correctly. So we had a pretty deep team, but when you have two guys that were head and shoulders above everybody else in fantasy points, we wrote ourselves, and we set the league record. I think it's been broken since. But we set the league record for the most points scored in a week, and that was in the championship week. And we broke the previous record was what we set in the semifinals with that team. So it was a fun ride. We won a crap load of money, which turned into one of my favorite fantasy stories I've got, was that we won so much money that I was able to pay for my wife's engagement ring with my fantasy football winnings. That's how much money we won. So one of my favorite fantasy stories coming from one of my very first championships. So that's one for sure I won't forget. But thanks Lamar Jackson, CMC. That's all I can say there. But that I should have put in my vowels, I think. those two names. Anyhow, we'll get into our insiders and headliners, and then we'll get into the draft. The draft is going to be the main part of this episode, and one that's I think is going to be a lot of fun. But two things to talk about. We have the Stephon Diggs trade. We haven't really got to react to that on the pod yet. We've put our stuff out on Instagram, and we got some people, or not just Instagram, but social media in general. A few comments, few direct messages, and some people that were pretty interested to discuss that kind of stuff. And then the Rishi Rice racing collision now recently today. They put out that there's a warrant for his arrest and what's going to happen. So I guess we'll start with the Stephon Diggs one. Like, where are you guys at with this? Like, it took me a bit to I'm kind of out. I was kind of out on Stephon Diggs after the roller coaster this past year, where the first half was electric and the second half was the one of the worst wide receivers in the NFL for fantasy point production. But now he goes to Houston, where they had 2 prolific wide receiver productions last year, and now there's 3 stud wide receivers, and they've got a stud tight end, and they got Joe Mixon, who profiles as a receiving back. So they've got 5 really good receiving options in Houston. So I guess I'll ask Zach this question, then I'll ask Armin the second question. But Zach, is this do you see his situation getting better, worse, or is it neutral? I guess from a fantasy perspective.
That's interesting. You can look at it from a few different angles. One angle is you can think, well, he's no longer drawing double coverage. Might still match up with the other team's best cover corner, but might not get that double team. With the other team having to be honest with Collins, with Tank Dell, with Schultz. But then, of course, because of those guys, he might not be getting the volume of targets anymore. So I I don't think he's going to be a first round, or I don't think he'll be in the conversation for a first round pick in fantasy drafts. I'd be surprised if he's even in the conversation as a top 12 receiver uh come August and September.
That's kind of where I'm at. I see him as, and it's polarizing. There's some people are like, hey, like I'm in, like this is a high flying offense. Passing the ball was electric season, and maybe you're buying into the hype. Who knows? And there's some people
Mhm.
are like, no, I felt the burns. Now there's lots of mouths to feed, so maybe it's not a good situation. And I find myself more on that where it's the outside looking, but I also feel the burns of having Stephon Diggs last year. So those cuts dig deep, unfortunately, when you're reflecting on fantasy seasons. But Armin, is this a buy, sell, or a hold if in dynasty perspective?
Oh, I think sell and try and find the guy that's kind of like what Zach said that might be interested in him as the thinking that he's no longer getting the double coverage, so it's gonna help his production. There's got to be somebody in the league that is willing to put up a premium for him yet, I think, and I would just I find it a little risky to try and hold on to him and see what happens in that offense because, like you said, there's so many mouths to feed, and he forced himself out of Buffalo there pretty well, and got like Houston had to put next to nothing into him. Who knows? Like this could even end up being like when Antonio Brown left Pittsburgh
Yeah.
and went to the Raiders, and it didn't barely lasted 2 minutes there before leaving. So you never know. I doubt it'll be that extreme, but like. He's kind of showing to bring a little drama with him as well.
Well, he basically pushed
And
himself out of Minnesota too. Like it's just been kind of
yeah,
the rinse and repeat.
yeah.
It's
So
it's too bad because like week 5, it was week 4, week 5. I'm trying to remember now. You probably could have got two firsts, two firsts and a second for him because he was the number 1 or the number 2 wide receiver on the season, and
yeah,
then it was a hard cut to like wide receiver 46. Like it was really, really bad to the point where now, like, I don't even know if you get a first for him. Like, there's probably somebody out there that's willing to pay a first for him in Dynasty,
yeah.
maybe a late first. I don't know, but
And I would say do that because like honestly, like teams will put up with guys' personalities like that when they're putting up production, which he was. But then this last year he didn't in Buffalo. So now they're like, no, we're not putting up with this anymore, you know?
yeah,
So if he doesn't put up production in Houston, he's not gonna last long there. Like he's gotta produce in order to stay.
yeah, exactly. The next one is the Rashi Rice situation. So, if you're not familiar with this, there was a car accident between several vehicles. A few of them are racing, and then they caused a multi-car collision. Some injuries. There were some rumors that there was drugs involved. Misinformation. Some were reporting grams, some were reporting ounces, which is a drastic difference in the charges that would be laid in the Texas state law. um, we don't know a ton of information yet at this point, but what I would recommend, I've brought this guy up on the podcast before about when it comes to legal situations on like one of like the go-to guys I go to, at least on Twitter, and his name's Drew Davenport. His Twitter, or his, I guess, X profile is Drew Davenport FF. So Drew Davenport Fantasy Football. He is a practicing defense attorney of over 20 years who is a fantasy football nut and really likes auction leagues. A lot of his content is based around auction leagues. But then anytime there's major criminal charges or criminal activity involved with a player, like his account is super good to follow, and he does long threads. Like he just put one out. I just read it before we recorded. It was 20 tweets long, a thread of what we know about the Rice situation right now and why we don't have enough information to go off. And a lot of his talk was that there's going to be likely a 2 to 4 game suspension. Very unlikely it'll be zero, but also very unlikely at this point that he'll receive jail time, even though in the Texas Criminal Code or whatever that if it's a stage 2, like going through a lot of the charges and stuff like that, that there's a minimum 2 year jail time, but it's looking like a 4 compared to 2. Like this is all stuff that is totally like not even English to me when you're going through some of these things and these details. But like we could sit here and speculate on what's going to happen to him, but we don't really know. And then you go a guy that knows the law like the back of his hand and is willing to throw out the information on Twitter. Like I would recommend that for sure. But like what we can speculate on is like where does this put us as fantasy players, as fantasy managers on Rashee Rice? Like I don't know if this impacts him dynasty wise because I don't think this is going to be a long term issue. But with a redraft hat, if he's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks, like, are you still willing to like? Lots of people had him pegged as a top 15 wide receiver this upcoming season. Are you willing to pay top 15 wide receiver numbers for a guy that might miss 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Maybe he only misses one. Like, who knows? I don't know how that's going to work out. But like, Zach, is this still worth? Like, remember, was it last year when Hopkins suspended for, I think it was his 4 or his 6, I don't remember. But you got to draft him and you got to hold him. You can't put him on IR, right? It's a suspension. So some people are him and hawing. Is it worth drafting, holding, and then producing? Is this a situation where you're willing to do that, or is it like, hey, let somebody else land on the grenade and I'm gonna produce for 4 weeks? Like, what are your thoughts, Zach?
If the threshold that you're setting is top 15, 1-5, then I am 100% out. I was probably 100% out before this. But now knowing kind of what Drew Davenport said, I was actually scrolling frantically as you were introducing the topic here on Twitter, and it might, man, like you said, it may as well have been Mandarin to me trying to understand what he was saying. Yeah, I am all the way out as a top 15 wide receiver. Now, if he's there in like rounds 7, 8, 9, definitely worth a dart throw, but I'm not investing a top 1, 2, 3, 4 round draft pick on somebody that is looking at some substantial time away from the season.
Yeah, he was. I think he was slotted in the 4th round. I think like end of third, early fourth was where previous ADP, even when the first little bit was going on, was where it's at. I don't know where it's at now. It might be plummeting. I'm not 100% sure, but listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of them had him penciled in as the wide receiver 15 for the upcoming season. I don't think that's even possible if he misses 4 weeks. Like it's just that's going to be a huge production season if he does. But um, I'm curious, do they draft a wide receiver now with their back end first or even a late second? KC, because they they need wide receivers. They've got Hollywood Brown to a 1 year, whether or not that 1 year turns into a multi-year, and maybe they draft somebody and hold on. Like there's lots of wide receiver depth. So Armin, I know we haven't quite got into the full deep dive of our wide receivers or even just our rookies and stuff like that. But is that a team that you had penciled to take a rookie?
You know what? Yeah, I kind of thought so. Not even like you think about having Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice, and
A
it's
really,
great.
really old Travis Kelce.
Yeah, really old Travis Kelce. Well, maybe they're in Brock Bowers country. Maybe they're gonna be looking for the next Travis Kelce. There we go. New hot take right now.
Twitter would
Thought of
explode.
it.
Twitter would explode.
KC's going for Bowers.
No, I
But
can confidently tell you I don't own a 1st round pick. I don't own a second or a third. I don't even know if I own a 4th in our league.
sucker.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't go for another receiving option. They're pretty strong everywhere else on that team. Now they do have to make up for didn't they lose Snead this offseason, right? So a
Yeah.
defensive player, but I trust they'd be able to fix that without giving up too much draft capital. So maybe not a 1st rounder, but I could see them drafting a wide receiver or pass catching option in the 1st or 2nd round this year.
Yeah. It's gonna be, man. The draft is so much fun. I'm so excited. 3 weeks cannot come soon enough. But speaking of draft, we're gonna do our own. We have done a couple drafts in the past. We've done a rookie draft. We've done. I think that might be the only drafts we've done. So trying to think back, and then yeah, I think it's only been rookies we've done. But this one's gonna be fun because it's totally arbitrary. There's no fantasy input whatsoever to this. It's just us as football fans We talk when they do the throwback jerseys, like, oh yeah, like I'm feeling that tonight. These are looking sharp. These are good. So we kind of came up with the idea that we're gonna do this 15 jerseys, and this isn't necessarily us putting them in like order of like what we think is the best one to the 15th one. Like this is us trying to put together the best five for our teams, and I've already got the model set up. Once this is done, I will put them onto an Instagram page. I'll put them out there and we'll see if we can get a vote going on like whose team has the best uniforms based on our selections here. So, well, we know you're playing the game a little bit of who comes back to you in the draft. We did a pre-select random draw order of who gets first, second, third pick. Zach will be drafting first overall. Then myself will be second. And then Armand will be third. And then snake order. So then the second round, he'll be first. And then I'll be second and third, and so on and so forth until we have completed 5 rounds of the draft. So as we go through here, we're going to be trying to like message each other a little bit of like a picture of it. Because if you said, for example, just an arbitrary like Saskatchewan Roughriders jersey, well, there's different years, different colors, different green pants, green and white pants, green and black pants, all the green and black throwback jersey. Like there's so many different variations. So we're trying to pencil it down a little bit to some specificities, and then we can have a look and be jealous about the uniforms that the other team had drafted. So we'll start things off here with Zach, and if I set the betting odds on what jersey he's going to select, I think it would be pretty high odds on. I know who he's picking here, so I almost didn't even write this jersey down in my top 10 because I was pretty confident Zach was taking this one. But Zach, you are on the clock with the 101 selection.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this one before as the jersey that I would want to buy that would not be New England Patriots related.
1985
And
to 1995.
yeah, this one's coming straight out of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
The Kelly Green Philadelphia Eagles jersey. Sending it right now in the group chat. We got Hurts and Devonta Smith looking absolutely fantastic in that sweet, sweet jersey.
You son of a gun.
Yeah, that
That,
there's no way
that
that
was
was
the one
getting
I
to
wanted.
Like,
there's no way that was getting to you, Armin. Like not a chance.
I know, but I was you can hope and dream. Maybe you guys would be homers for the first two picks,
Yeah.
and I could get it.
Um, so I'm on the clock here and I've got a list. I put 20 and I realized, well, there's no chance 20 jerseys are going. So that was like a huge waste of time, but it was a lot of fun looking at some cool uniforms. But I'm playing the game. There's two that I have in my top three, and I'm pretty confident that Armin isn't gonna take one of them. So my team I'm
Oh,
going to take is the 1976 to 1996 Tampa Bay creamsicle jerseys. I think that's a classic. That's one where everybody's like, "Oh man, they're wearing them this week. Those are electric. Give me the creamsicle jerseys." So not maybe necessarily my favorite, but that's a fan favorite, and I'm gonna be trying to win those votes. So I'll get a picture up here for you guys. I'm sure I don't have to. I'm pretty sure everybody knows the creamsicle jerseys, but I'll throw one up here just so you guys know, and I'll put Armin on the clock.
now I'm tilting. You took another one of my top ones, guys. Like, oh, creamsicle? Come on, my guy. Okay. Um, reeling here, trying to figure out what I want to do. And there was one that I actually just came across before we started this section because I'm trying to get my research in here and make sure I get everything I can. And it's a throwback, but I kind of prefer the new look that they just did for the remake of it. And I am going with the Seattle Seahawks
Yeah, those are
royal
sharp.
blue with silver threads is
And that's
what
a
they're
silver
calling it.
helmet too, isn't it? With the throwback
Yeah,
logo. Yeah, that was on
yeah,
my list.
yeah. That is my pick for this one for the 103. I'll send it in the chat here. And then I get the 201, hey? Oh wow. Okay. 201. We are going.
Yeah, those are nasty, Armin. Those are on my list.
Yeah. Those are a sick jersey. I think I have to go with Another blue, another powder blue. And I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Chargers powder blue. Worn 1960 to 84, 2002 to present.
Okay, so my game worked out here, and no, but now I thought, oh man. Okay, there was one I thought you were gonna take, and when you said throwback powder blues, I'm like, oh crap, it's gone. But now I'm tilted because you know what? I'm doing it. Suck it, Zach. I'm going Patriots red home jerseys with the white buckets, the
Oh,
84-92, the white jersey with the red and blue stripes, the white bucket with the Patriot on top. Those are nasty. Those are one of my favorites. One of the best logos in football. One of the best throwbacks. The only thing that sucked was Mac Jones was wearing it for a lot of the pictures when I was doing my research. So I'll slap that one up. I'm sure I don't have to talk about it too much because Zach is very familiar with this one and Armand, I'll throw it in there, throwback jersey, just so you can have a look at it. But there was no chance it was getting back to me. I'm pretty confident that Zach was going to take this one. So Zach, I'll put you on the clock.
That's a dagger. That was like for the brand, that should have been 101.
Yeah,
That is
I was concerned you, but then that's why I thought maybe I'd get Kelly Green, but I was like, no, he's gonna hope it slides.
yeah, I had a Google thing set up and for the longest time, yeah, the Pat Patriot Reds were number one, but then I thought like Kelly Green, that's chalk and
That's
like
iconic. Yeah, it's
yeah,
iconic
like that
101.
one has to go. Um so little choked about that one, but pretty happy here, I think, with my next two picks. So coming in through the chat here will be my next pick, and it is going to be a throwback. And honestly, I think we could probably say throwback for most of these because I think a lot of our picks are going to be throwbacks. We are going all the way back to the 80s and 90s with the Houston
Yeah,
Oilers
yeah,
powder blue white helmet with uh, the oil thingy on the side of the head.
yeah. That was the two I was hemming and hawing with. I thought Armin was gonna take the Houston, so I was just no brainer taking New England. So I actually had to him and haw that.
So
Oh, my
that would
pen died.
be 203. Now 301. This is where things get pretty interesting in my mind. I think there was a very strong group of like five, and we nailed all of them.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of humming and hawing here between two, and I'm going to go with uh the nuts. You know what? Oh no, I don't know what I'm doing here. I am going to go with a non-throwback. This is
Oh
a
no.
current alternate jersey. It is the Cincinnati Bengals
No.
all whites.
Oh no. Oh
F
no.
you. I'll trade you Pat the Patriot right now.
2022 all whites. That was my next pick. Literally, I have it number one, but I have a 1A, 1B here, so that's okay.
Yeah. As the grade 10 say, it is the drippiest. Like it is
Oh
so
no.
sick.
Oh no. Okay, I gotta tell you
oh
guys a
yeah.
joke after. This is terrible. Okay, hold on. I'm just queuing up a picture here for my next one. This one, this one, I don't know if it's gonna hit. Like for me, it fires me up, but I don't know if this one hits as deep as it does for everybody else. But I'm firing the picture in here. I'm going the Baltimore Ravens all black. They
Oh
like
yeah.
those are nasty. And when I see Derrick Henry rocking these all blacks and he punches in 4 touchdowns for a total of 14 rushing yards, it's gonna fire me up. So I'm going the Baltimore Ravens all black uniforms.
Very interesting. I had a Ravens jersey on my list, or I have one on my list, but not all black.
Is it the purple with the black?
Can't
Purple
tell
color
you.
rush? Oh yeah, I
I got
guess
two
you
more
can't really
picks.
tell me. Can't really tell me. Okay, Armin, you're on the clock with the what is this, the 303?
Yeah, you bet. Okay, so I found another one. It's not quite all white, but it is a lot of white. and I thought it was pretty crisp. I didn't really even think of this one until I saw it, and I was like, oh wow, I need to put that one into my list. And that is the 2016 to present alternate white gold number for the New Orleans Saints. And I think it looks sharp.
I like those helmets that go with them too, with
Yeah.
like the fade checker off the top. Those are sharp.
The picture I found doesn't have that helmet. It just has the gold helmet.
Oh yeah, I think it's the blacks with the gold and it has the, or maybe it was just this year. Maybe they have those helmets. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so recapping here, I guess we've finished the third round and we've got fourth and fifth left each. So quick little recap where we're at here. Kelly Green goes 101, Creamsicles 102. Then those throwback 90s Seahawks jerseys that were just reused this past season goes 103. Then 201 goes Los Angeles Powder Blues. The Pat the Patriots red uniform throwbacks go 202. Houston Oilers 203. 301, we have the Bengals all whites. The 302, we have the Ravens all blacks. And then the 303, we have the Saints all white gold uniform. So we have 2 picks left, remaining 6 picks total. Armin is firing it up with the 401.
All right. 401, here we go. This one is actually pretty tough, but I am going with one that is the longest running in the NFL, and so it's got to count for something. A little bit of a dark horse, but when you think of this team, it's the only way you think of them, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers, black with black helmet and yellow pants. And it is a classic look, especially the new jerseys. It just looks so sick, actually, I think. So I had to go with it.
Armin going throwback, eh?
Oh
Just
yeah.
just classic, clean look. Hasn't changed forever, but just is good.
Yeah. You gotta have it in there. You gotta. Especially with the all the alternates that I have so far, I gotta put in the classic there.
So I was just saying off the air, we had a quick little pause transition there. I was saying to Zach before Armin got on here, I'm pretty confident that my last pick is going to be a lock, and it's actually my last pick is probably my favorite jerseys. I'm just it's unlikely that somebody's going to draft those ones. So technically, this is probably my last pick to actually make a decision here because my next one's locked. So I got some good jerseys. I'm trying to him and haw about. Um, Man. Yep. Oh, just give me a second. I gotta see if I can get the picture to pull up because I found this one earlier and I want to make sure it's the actual the right ones here. And I don't want to say like which teams I'm him and hawing between me because I guess like technically you guys could steal them, I suppose. Um, see if I can get this one. Yeah, those are nasty. Okay, I gotta do it. I hate to do it, but I gotta do it. I'm doing the throwback greens with the yellow helmet, the 1950-1953 Green Bay Packers. They're like I think they're super sneaky. Not those ugly blue ones with the yellow circle, but these like I think these ones are sneaky nice.
I
It's
think I know
gonna
which one you're talking about. And
yeah,
yeah, I think I agree. Yeah.
I'm just gonna post a picture here. It
Yeah, those
reminds
ones are sick.
it's very much like this is giving Aiden Bowman vibes here, but
110.
yeah, I'll slap it up there. Those I think those are like
Yeah.
those blue and yellow ones are a huge miss, but these were a hit. Like I think these were sharp.
Yeah. Those are sneaky good.
I'll leave my one us hemming on between for an honorable mention if it gets undrafted, but I got a feeling that maybe it will. So I'm going to 403 to Zach.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packer Aiden Bowman Bears was in the barrel 403 for sure.
Oh, I said, hey, there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. And this year we were we were playing a night game and we were up by quite a bit. Or I guess we were playing the second game of the Friday nighter and we were up a little bit and I was certainly distracted and I looked over and I saw the Bears warming up in the the visitor end zone, and I was like, God dang, like those are sharp. So this next one that I am going with is it is a simpler jersey than some of the other ones I have picked, but think it is real crisp, and it would be the throwback Dirty Bird black on black Atlanta Falcons,
Yeah.
black helmets, black jerseys,
Old black helmet, not the red one.
black helmet.
Nice.
Yeah, that old logo too. Uh Going back to like, I don't know, probably like the 80s, 90s. I think that
The
one's pretty sick.
Yeah, those are nice. I like the ones with the red helmets. The ones from 66. Same
Yeah, I
same
think I know
logo,
which ones you're talking.
same logos, black jerseys, but with the red helmets. Those are sharp. But yeah, that's one of my favorite throwback logos, the Falcons one. Like you said, just simple. It does it for me. I like those a lot.
Now here I could go a bunch of ways here. I could probably do another round or two. Um just with some of the ones on the bottom of my list, but this one doesn't get the kind of love that the Buccaneer creamsicles get, but has a lot of the similar features to it. And it would be the throwback Denver
Yep.
Broncos.
That was the one I was
Uh
hemming on between. That's
Love
exactly the
that
one. Yeah.
big letter D logo with the pony there. I think it looks real sweet. Not 100% sure if this picture that I'm sending to you guys is a spectacular fan mock-up or if it's actually Drew Lock wearing it. I'm not sure, but thought the picture looked super sweet.
Yeah. That's so funny because that was the one that's hemming on between the Pats one, or sorry, the excuse me, the Green Bay Packers one, and it was those two exact ones. So that's so funny that you ended up taking it. Okay, well, I said this was the one that I was gonna take, so I got a lock and load. I'm just gonna try and get right in the right picture here. It's from 2016. Throwing it back, and I could have went either way because I really liked the yellows, but for some reason the whites really did it for me. And I'm gonna send a picture here. If you can maybe try and take a guess at which ones I'm going for here. Thinking back to the 2016, I think these was their 16-17 season, I believe. But Cooper Cup into the big old fantasy production, Jared Goff throwback rookie picks here, all whites with the blue helmet with the white swirl. Those ones do it
White
for me.
swirl is
Yeah, like those
Yeah,
jerseys do it for me.
those buckets are sweet. The jerseys are they're fine, but the buckets
That's
they're
why I
pretty
made
yeah.
sure
sweet.
it's uniform, not just jerseys. It had to be the uniform. If it was the jerseys, I would have went with the yellow color rush ones, where it's
Yeah.
like very like hilltop vibes, where it's the throwback swirls on the shoulder pads, and then it's got the brighter blue helmet with the yellow swirl.
Yeah.
Those ones are pretty nice too, but it's for some reason those all whites. I just loved it. And whenever I played the Madden, I always went with the Rams all whites, white bucket. I just thought those were so sick. So I locked and loaded. I was pretty confident that one wasn't going to take. So my last pick, I'll go with the Rams white the Rams white color rush.
Oh, you know that that was a good one right there. And it got me thinking, you guys got some good helmets, and I didn't really get a good helmet in mine. I guess I got the nice silver helmets by the Seattle Seahawks. I'm good. I don't need to pick based on helmet on my last one here then. So oh, this one's a tough one. It's a really tough one. And you know what? I think I'm going hot take here. It's from around 2012 is when they wore these, and it doesn't get a lot of love, I don't think. But I think it does look crisp. It looks clean, and it's a red color that I think should get more love than it deserves, and it is the Washington Now Commanders, white with gold pants and the burgundy helmet.
That's just a classic.
Yeah.
That's Sean Taylor classic.
Like that burgundy doesn't get enough love, I don't think.
Yeah.
And it looks really good. And it's not, I think the reason it doesn't is because the main color of the jersey, it doesn't work as well. But when you have it as like the accent color with the numbers and the helmet and the socks, it pops and it looks really, really good, I
I have to
think.
look back. I have the RG3 jersey, but it's not the white. I think it's the actual burgundy one. I have it
Uh,
somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's actually in this closet tucked behind me here, but that jersey slapped for one full season and then it just stayed in the closet for the rest of the time. So let's recap our teams here. We'll recap the teams and then we'll go through some honorable mentions after. So going through Zach's team here. Why don't you go through your team, Zach, and then I'll go through mine, and then Armin can go through his.
Sure thing. So starting us off, I went with the Kelly Green Philadelphia Eagles jersey, a jersey that if they wore it every Sunday, I am not sure anybody would ever complain. 203, I went with the Houston Oilers powder blues with the white helmets. 301, I went with the Cincinnati Bengals all whites with the black stripes. 403 all black Atlanta Falcons throwback. And then 501, it was the creamsicle and blue Denver Bronco throwbacks.
My team, I went with from the two position. I went with the Tampa Bay throwback creamsicle Buccaneer uniforms, a classic. And I went with the red throwback Pat the Patriot jerseys, the uniforms there, red jerseys, white helmet. Then I went with the all black Baltimore Ravens uniforms at 302. The 402, I went with the throwback Green Bay Packers, the all green with the solid yellow bucket and then the yellow stripes on the shoulders. And then final pick in the fifth round, I went with the 2016 Rams all white color rush jersey. So the white with the navy blue, and then the helmet was the navy blue helmet with the white swirl, wrapping up in the fifth position.
all right. I went at the 103 spot, and my first round pick was the Seattle Seahawks. Um, cut or uh, royal blue with silver threads. It's their throwback jersey that they just introduced last year again. At the 201, I went with the LA Chargers powder blues with the yellow pants and white buckets. And at the 303, I went with the New Orleans Saints, all white with gold numbers and gold helmet. And then at the 401, I went with the classic, the never change because you don't need to. And that just proved the test of time of why it had to be drafted. The Pittsburgh Steelers, black helmet, yellow pants, black jersey. And then at the last pick in the draft, I went with my sleeper pick of the Washington Redskins, white with burgundy.
So honorable mentions. Zach, you got any that you had queued up if we had a couple extra rounds?
Yeah, I'll give you one because I have a few more locked
Sure,
and
we'll go
loaded.
around the horn here. We'll do a couple until we run out.
All right, I'll be polite here. I'll leave one that one of you might pick, and I'm gonna go with a real slick uniform from South Florida, the Miami Dolphins. It's a bit of a throwback look. It's the all white,
Yeah.
white helmet, white top, white pants
With the
with
three line socks.
the yeah, three-line socks with the teal detailing. I could have easily went with the teal top as well, but the white top is a spectacular look, I
Uh,
think.
This just reminds me of being 11 years old playing Madden, and we spend more time making our uniforms than actually playing the game. You
I'm
know, when
11
you're
years old. Please, I still do this.
yeah. Yeah, I was trying to like be subtle. Like clearly it's still we're 31 years old and still doing this. Okay, my next one then I will go with I got a couple, but I think one that I very well could have added in there is that one with the all white Cincy's, the all orange Cincy's, the orange pants, the orange jerseys with the
Woof.
black. I love that. That does it for me. Like it was very controversial. Some people really liked it and some people despised it. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. I had in there the all orange or the all black. So the all black uniforms with the orange lines too.
See, I'd
Um,
rather go with the all black.
the Cincy uniforms I love. Like I think they're one of the nicest like current uniforms in the league. The all white were sick, but what like the all black with the orange detail, all orange with the black. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I like Joe Burrow. I don't know if it's because I kind of like the Bengals a little bit, or it's just because I like their uniforms. But both of those, I guess all three I kind of had on the list of, do I take one? If somebody else takes one, do I grab the other? But I thought, pass on the Cincy's and try and expand the portfolio a bit. Armin, who's another one you had on your possibility list?
Well, you know what? It is actually a jersey that I hold near and dear to my heart, and I love. But I didn't pick it because I didn't want to be a homer, and that is the Vikings all purple helmet, purple jersey, purple socks, purple pants,
That's the
purple
Kirk
cleats if
Cousins.
you got them.
That's the Kirk
Yeah,
Cousins.
the Kirk Cousins. But the all purple, being the purple people eaters, purple is one of my favorite colors, especially in a jersey. I think it's not used enough, and I really like the Minnesota all purples.
Zach, do you have a homer pick, or was your homer pick taken?
Oh, you know the answer to that one. That one was taken for
Yeah.
sure.
What's another one you had there
Uh, for me or for Armand.
for you?
Okay. This one, it's not the greatest logo of all time, but it is the New York Giants throwback.
That
They
like
have
deep
like
navy.
yeah, man, it slaps.
Yeah, they wore those
Sending it here
last
in the
year.
group chat. It literally just says Giants on the helmet,
Mhm.
and the uh, the logo department kind of failed, but the jersey people pulled up the slack because it's a great fit.
I like that deep navy, to be honest. I remember when
Yeah,
they
me
wore
too.
these.
So
I,
nice.
yeah, Saquon had a really good game when they wore those. Another one I had was the Seattle lime green color rush.
Oh yeah.
Just one of those ones where it's like, okay, one off, I think it'll do the trick, but like that might be a fan favorite one too. I have one last one too, and then I'll throw it to Armin because I know he didn't talk about this one. But it was this year's Lions jerseys, those all gray when they introduced the first ever blue helmet. Man,
Mm,
those did it for me. Though I like the gray jerseys a lot. I don't know if they're going to keep going with them. The rumor is they're getting new jerseys this year. The all white Lions ones, like those are still my favorite of all time. Like the all white Lions look, I think that's a sharp look. But those all grays with if you haven't seen it, Armin, you know what I'm talking about, or I need to put a picture in the group chat.
No, I know it has like the logo that's almost like
Their throwback logo,
influenced
the
by
Detroit.
Motor City, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
Mustang logo almost.
And when they came out with those, like it's actually my screensaver on my phone. It's not the actual screensaver, but you can kind of see on the top there, like it's one of my like it's one of those like widgets or whatever they call it. Yeah, man, those were sick. So that and then I have a few other like kind of like fun ones, but those are my main two. Armin, you got another one, and then I'll give Zach. You got two, Armin, and then Zach another one, and I don't know, maybe
Uh,
we'll throw a couple honorable mentions online too.
well, I really like the black San Fran with the or with the red writing and stuff. I think that one's a really sharp one. That's another one that I really enjoy. I'm a big fan of black jerseys in general. And then another to go away from the black though. I actually like it's just kind of a classic look. The Chiefs white with the red helmet and red pants. I think actually looks really good and really sharp. Just classic and clean, but like not too flashy, you know.
Zach, wrap it up. One more honorable mention. You got another one for us?
yeah, this might be one of the first jerseys to ever make its way onto a NFL field, but it's the Chicago Bears throwback
With the
with
three
the
oranges?
yeah.
Oh yeah, that was on my list.
It uh it definitely screams like the Veer offense to me.
Yeah,
And
when I see that jersey, I think of Khalil Herbert for some reason. I don't know if it's because he was the poster boy for the remodeling of those throwbacks. I don't know why.
it could be him on the picture that I
It
sent you
might be.
guys.
It actually might be.
It's
No,
Fields and a
no,
running back.
that's Monty. That's
That's
Montgomery.
Monty.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the blue ones when they wear the blue jerseys with those helmets, I'm pretty sure it's Khalil.
But yeah, like when I see these jerseys, I think of like World War II servicemen being like, I gotta go play football. Sorry, guys.
This is my moment away from the war. I'll be back in
Yeah,
2 days.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that I would be lying if I said those jerseys weren't on my list, but I thought like, there's better ones, but it's still pretty sick.
yeah, they're nice.
Okay, well, should we ice cold this and wrap her up? This
Works
was a
for
fun
me.
one. We got to do more drafts like this, which is complete nonsense and like didn't hurt my head doing analytic work, so I'll
Yeah,
take this one.
I don't think we actually talked about our full parameters of what we were doing, and I was picking like jerseys with names on them. So I was picking like jerseys that I wanted to buy, like of different guys or different teams, and mixing them
Oh yeah,
between
here we
like
go.
the
This
colors
is
and stuff.
this speaks a guy that looked at his list and is like, oh no. Oh man, Armand. I'll vote for you. Don't worry. I'll vote for you.
So
You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby. I'm on fire.
Okay, so this ice cold hot take, I have a couple that I've got old brewing in the old bean, but I'm gonna go with this one. It's I think this is one I can't remember if I actually put it as an ice cold hot take or if it was when we did um our preseason or our season preview where we talked about like who's gonna be in the Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm taking if I did do this one, I'm taking it to the next level because I'm gonna call who's in the Super Bowl, I think, part of this hot take. Um, it's gonna be it's going to be a team that is a cat that is going to win the Super Bowl. I can't remember if I did this one last year, if I was just talking about it. But for those of you that don't know, there's four cat teams. There's the Jacksonville Jaguars, Carolina Panthers, Cincinnati Bengals, and Detroit Lions. Last year, when I was jokingly doing, or actually did the take, I can't remember, the legitimate contenders were the Jacksonville Jaguars, Cincinnati Bengals. I think Cincinnati was top four betting odds to win the Super Bowl. This year, if you haven't looked at the color leak that Zach follows the script, I don't know if he writes the script or he just knows the script. Every year, the colors match up on who's in the Super Bowl for the last whatever year. Zach talks all the time. They leak the script. It's blue and orange. Okay. It's like a light blue and it's like, I don't know, brightish orange. So people are thinking it's Miami. No, it's two cats. It's going to be the Detroit Lions and it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. And to take a step further, it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals that are going to beat the Detroit Lions. That is what I'm thinking. If you follow the script based on the colors, on who's on top, who's on bottom, that follows the script. But script aside, all seriousness, these are two teams that are prolific offenses. Have a strong defense. The one big falter for the Lions is their secondary, which they will strongly address in the draft. They missed out on some of the big free agents, but there's lots of really strong corners this year that they'll be able to take to bolster that secondary. And they're a team that is one of the favorites to get back to the championship round again here. Cincinnati unfortunately had a down season due to injuries, predominantly with Joe Burrow, but they've retained their wide receiving core. They've retained a lot of strong pieces to their defense. And the only really piece they lost was Joe Mixon, which, I mean, the RB position in the NFL is easily replaceable, especially when you don't use the RB like a workhorse back like a lot of teams do. So two teams that I'm really high on this year, not only for fantasy but for just all intensive NFL purposes. Jacksonville is one of those sneaky teams. They missed out on a playoff spot on the last play of the game. They're a team that a lot of people have to regress again and take another step backwards based on the production of what Trevor Lawrence put forward last year. But I think they're a sneaky team too to possibly, compete and possibly win the division with Houston. And if they don't, they can grab a wild card and make some noise in the AFC too. So I'm not putting any eggs in that Carolina Panthers basket. I think that
oh,
ship has
come
sailed.
on.
They're already looking at the 2026 draft and hoping for the best. And they actually have a first round pick in the 2025 draft, at least 24. They don't. So but I do think like this isn't an analytical take. This is one of those ones where it's just like teams that are on the right trajectory. Detroit has not been to the Super Bowl, but they were two quarters of football really away from it, and were a team that was like they were on a mission. and I think that they have the capability to get back there. They brought back all the same coaching staff, et cetera, et cetera. And Cincinnati's a team that has been there. They've been in the AFC Championship how many times? They've been in the Super Bowl. And I think that if they get there again this year, that they're not going to make the same mistakes and they're going to win it this year. And I don't have to cheer against them because Stafford won't be there. So that's my take. A little bit of a fun one, a little bit of just a gut feeling. My next one's a little more analytical, so we'll get into some more of the fantasy talk on that one. But that's my take. So cheering, not that I'm cheering against the Lions, but Zach knows the script, and you can't mess with Zach's script. So. But somebody said, I gotta look it up because somebody said they actually changed the color. So I gotta look it up here. Super Bowl logo for 2020, the 2025, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a different logo altogether now. Never mind, we're hooped. It's
Wasn't
lime green
the
and hot
logo
pink.
off for this year anyways?
Yeah, it was purple and red.
Yeah.
But people are saying that Taylor Swift is the purple. Taylor Swift is the purple.
Well, that's dumb.
This logo is now, I guess, it's lime green and red, or like kind of like a bright red. Hey, maybe that's Arizona.
Could be Jacksonville. They got that green, and
could be Jacksonville.
Who knows if the orange and the red that we see are really orange and red? Could be the Bengals.
It
Somehow
could be,
two AFC teams make it.
Maybe it's one of those white and gold dresses versus the black and blue dress situations we got going on here.
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyways, that'll do it here for episode 120. Coming up here, we're gonna be making our big donation, so we're pretty excited about that. So stay tuned for some social media content. We're going there, and we will have episode 121 coming up shortly, where we are going to be diving into some of the rookie prospects here for the upcoming NFL draft, and then following that, we'll have our reactions to the landing spots and fantasy draft and all that fun stuff as well too. So take care, everybody. Thanks for listening to episode 120. Thanks for bearing with us for taking an extra week of a hard-earned vacation off, but we're back in the swing of things, and we're ready for the off season. So take care, everybody, and talk soon.